Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Things are finally starting to calm down across the UK, and specifically in England, if you listen to the very chippy jocks on Twitter, as if they live in some sort of utopian society where you don't see buckfast-addled wife-beaters in string vests gleefully clipping the wives and children in front of the bus station, or legions of smackheads roaming the streets. Apparently it's an idyllic society up there, so I'll wind my neck in. However, today's news is exactly as you'd expected. A week into this, it is still a tone-deaf Prime Minister saying the exact opposite of what you're supposed to say if you want to calm things down. Live, Starmer pledges a standing army of specialist officers to deal with violent disorder. This is pure violence, he says. So instead of talking about the obvious, because we know the obvious is politicians are supposed to dial things down and calm the rhetoric, but because the people doing the writing look like me, none of that's happened, and that's why people are angry. And everybody knows that's why everybody's angry, including the Chief of Police. Look at this fantastic footage of Sir Mark Rowley massively flashing when a reporter asks him the obvious.
But let's just listen to Sir Mark Rowley's reaction as he left Cobra and was asked a question about two-tier policing.
Are we going to end two-tier policing, sir?
So, that looks pretty clear to me that he grabbed that microphone unnecessarily, because you can just walk past it. You don't need to touch the microphone. But he grabbed it clearly with such force that it ripped it from the handle that the microphone sits in, and then that just...
Brilliant, that, innit? Proper lost his rag. How dare you state the obvious on national television? He wouldn't be that angry if he walked into his bedroom and caught his missus getting tag-teamed by the Legion of Doom. Don't know why I used wrestlers there. They're not wrestling, if you didn't get that joke. But instead of laughing at this stuff, because as I said, we all know what the problem is, I'm just going to spend 5 minutes covering a new feature, what I'm calling half-wit hot takes. Because I've seen some hot takes in response to what's gone on Twitter this weekend, and I have to cover them. The amount of sheer, unadulterated, weapons-grade, premium stupidity I've seen on Twitter in response to this by all of the chattering classes and the clever people, the educated people that are much smarter than you because they went to good universities in the home counties and got so thoroughly indoctrinated they have lost all sense of impartiality or judgment, but they're definitely cleverer than you. So I'm going to cover some of their responses by, well, ripping the piss out of them, I suppose. First one from Certified Genius, paid up member of the Great and the Good, Howard Beckett, who said, BBC this morning, the government will hold emergency meeting into violent disorder, and in Portland, anti-immigration protesters were confronted by 300 masked people shouting something about their favourite snack bar. And his response to this was, our media is complicit in that phobia everybody keeps talking about.
Were arrested. This following the violent disorder in the UK towns and cities over the weekend.
In Bolton, anti-immigration protesters were confronted by a group of up to 300 masked people shouting, snack bar, or God is greatest. The time now 6:30.
Yeah. When confronted with a rare fact from the BBC, it does not compute. He did a hard reset because he saw a fact on the BBC. The reason the BBC reported it, numbnuts, is because that video has been circulated all over social media for days, where there's 300 or 400 blokes with weapons chanting all about their favourite local snack bar. And they had to report on it, or everybody would say, this is weird. You're talking about a burning wheelie bin in Middlesbrough, but you're not talking about the massive gang of hairy-ass blokes with meat cleavers chanting. Think about it, Howard. In fact, I'm not using his first name. From now on, he is Rain Man Beckett. From Mr. Hijab, far-right chavs protesting in the street are likely to be unemployed, addicts, unqualified, have dysfunctional family lives, and have low levels of trade conscientiousness. This is funny because I'm sure you're all aware of the statistics. The unemployment statistics for that community his community, are the worst in the UK by far, by a country mile. I think something like 23% of the women work, and the men it's about 47%. And as for number 4, dysfunctional family lives, Baroness Varsi discussed this years ago when she pointed out that one particular community had so many gibbering, mutant, inbred children that basically there was parts of England like Luton and Bradford that look like the hills have eyes, except if they prayed 5 times a day. So I'm just saying, rogering your cousins and not letting your wives go to work, and if they try to get an education, beating them with a cricket stump. I'm just saying, I think that's a little bit more dysfunctional than, your average council estate dweller whose mum frequently says things like, need more babies for booze. And Jessica Seymour KC's proved me right, hasn't she? Because she said, an MP's labelled violent criminals concern British citizens. If this isn't a criminal offence, it should be. Which is your bog standard comedy response, isn't it? Even though what you're doing isn't illegal, we'll just pass some new laws and make it illegal. Get in the gulag. As I keep saying, you read the Gulag Archipelago and you realise why the gulags fill up so quick. Because when these lunatics are in charge, they just make everything illegal and they do it retroactively. So even if it was legal when you did it, they just change the law and say, oh yeah, actually, it's now highly illegal, and let's just put a 2-year cap in so we can get you after the fact and lock you up anyway. Easy. Checkmate, fascists. And a classic from Bashara Shaikh, who is all over the BBC and Good Morning Great Britain and Talk TV and everywhere else. Even though she's so irrevocably dense, she still needs to wear Velcro shoes. Take away the curries and kebabs. Take away the tea and coffee. Take away the doctors and nurses, the Ubers and buses. Take away the night workers, the clothes, the cleaners. Take it all away. It's all foreign. We have a winner, ladies and gentlemen. We have a winner. This bird is as thick as whale spunk. There's nothing else to say about it. The clothes. Like, we didn't have clothes in 1978. In the UK, it was like homogenous. Didn't have clothes or cleaners or tea and coffee. These people are raving lunatics. I don't know what to tell you, but here's an easy way of addressing it. Anybody who remembers 1988? Let's just pick a year. I think I was 8 in 1988, right? When you used to get sick, your mum used to ring the doctor's office. And that same day, my doctor was a fat ginger bloke. Dr. Dunn, he was called. Nice fella. The same day, said fat ginger bloke was in my living room giving me a checkup. I remember this happening more than once as a child. Not only did we have everything in this irrational list of random occurrences and items, but we could access everything because we had a common sense approach to immigration. And I'm nobody's against immigration completely. As I've said many times, my best friend in primary school was a little Indian kid. All everybody's saying is we should have a common sense approach, and the people coming in should be in the tens of thousands, well, probably the thousands at this point, considering we're now more crowded than a Greek cemetery. We can't allow this many people in when there's a process and everybody gets vetted. Funny old thing on about my little Indian mate, both of his parents were doctors. That's why they moved to the UK. Now we get illiterate half-wits floating over in bathtubs who can't read or write. And some of them are from the parts of the world where everybody takes a literalist interpretation of their holy book. And as a result, think if you do something that us Westerners just count as being a fun time, like, I don't know, sniffing some poppers and giving a bloke a hand shandy behind a gay disco, normal Western behaviour, they think you should get a knife in the eyeball for it. And apparently when I point this out, because, I'm a socially liberal centrist chap, apparently that makes me Goebbels. I don't understand how this is logical or rational to anybody saying. So there you have it. That's my roundup of the dumbest replies to my tweets this weekend. That's fantastic, that. That is fantastic. Clean as a foreign. Have you ever been for a walk around Karachi? It's not very clean. You didn't invent the concept of cleaning, you lunatic. Florence Nightingale was washing her hands and using antiseptic to clean surgical instruments, while you lot were performing rudimentary surgery with sharp sticks on a pile of camel shite. This is just lunacy. Lunacy. Everything's foreign, even buses. No bus drivers in England in 1978, when the UK was 97% ethnically homogenous. No, none of that stuff, apparently. But that's just what I think. If you disagree and you think, yes, definitely 1988 was just the Pictish, the Celts, running naked through the nettles, chasing haggis with sharpened sticks, you let me know in the comments so we can have a good laugh. All right? I hope you all enjoyed that video. Have a good Monday, and I'll see you all tomorrow. All right? Thanks for watching. Toodle pip. Cheers.